The world champion Domaraju Gukesh makes his way to the board. He adjusts himself in the chair. He's going to play with the black pieces. And who is his opponent? None other than our Praggnanandhaa, the boy from the same city as him, from Chennai. These two youngsters have become two top players in the world of chess and right now are going to face off against each other at the Superunited Rapid Tournament, the third leg of the Grand Chess Tour. Gukesh adjusts all his pieces, is ready for the clash, and a handshake here. Pragg has been in amazing form recently, winning the UZChess Cup. He's here. He has had 2 draws in the first 2 rounds against Praggnanandhaa and Nordirbek in both the games. He was trying to press a bit while Gukesh started off with a loss against Duda but struck back immediately by beating Firuza. He's right now looking in good shape. This is going to be a clash of equals. It's very difficult to choose who's going to win here. A handshake and off we go. Pragg, as always, takes a bit of time before his first move. This, dear friends, is the Ambit recap of the day. Pragg begins with knight to f3 and Gukesh plays his pawn to d5, g3, the Reti system. And if you know it well, Gukesh used to play exactly this system with the white pieces when he was a youngster. So this knight f3, g3, bg2 ideas. Pragg pushes his pawn to d4 now. They usually say that develop your knights before your bishops. And here Gukesh has gone and developed his bishop pretty quickly. But I guess the knights are coming out now. Knight to f6. Pawn comes out to c4. And both players have 25 minutes on the clock. But Pragg suddenly takes 3 minutes for this move. He brings his knight out to c3. And Gukesh castles here. Knight to e5. Trying to actually say to the bishop that, hey, your job, what are you doing here? Knight comes to d7. And now g4, an important move. Gukesh very quickly brings his bishop back. And Praggnanandhaa can now go f4, maybe with the idea of f5. But he simply takes off the bishop. And he's saying that, hey, I have the bishop pair now. Is that going to be an important thing in the game? We'll see. One thing that black has in this position is immense solidity with the pawn structure. Also, the bishop is a dark squared bishop and you will see Gukesh instantly improving the bishop, putting it on d6. Pragg goes rook d1 and maybe e4 is somewhere around the corner now. Rook e8 played. Will you go e4 here? Not so soon, says Pragg. First bishop g5. Trying to pin the knight here. And queen c7. He wants to trade off the bishop. So Pragg doesn't want to trade, right? Because he has the bishop pair. If one pair of bishops gets traded, he's not happy. He takes 4 minutes for this decision. Bishop d2 so as to meet bishop f4 with e3. Rook goes to d8. Very solid central play here by Gukesh. Pawn to c5. Not the best move by Praggnanandhaa. But he's hoping that Gukesh will go back. Then he'll push forward with f4. But Gukesh doesn't go back. He goes for a check. What does this check mean? Because you can go king h1. And if you go back, I have e3. e5. What a move here by Gukesh. If king h2, e takes d4 and you win the knight here. Remember, not e4 because there is queen g3. But ed4 works and Pragg goes e3. But Gukesh already doing amazingly well. He goes knight e6. He's coming here. He'll take the pawn and then play for the f4 square. Knight e2. Pragg quickly rushes to protect the f4 square. Also will take back on d4 with the knight perhaps. The knight jumps into e6. Taking the bishop is impossible. It's very unique position where the bishop is hanging on h2. The king cannot take it. Wow. E takes d4 taken by Gukesh. A good decision. Bishop takes d4 and now knight e4 would be a very, very interesting decision. Take, queen takes and you already have knight d4 happening here. But Gukesh goes back, bishop e5, which is also a fine move. Pragg pushes his pawn to b4. And here, it seems like Pragg is not so happy with his position. Also on time, he's almost 9 minutes behind. A3 played. And now Gukesh can actually take twice on d4, play knight e4. But it seems like Gukesh doesn't want to go for this knight e4 ideas. He goes rook to a8, king comes back to g1. And now he plays his knight to d7. Intense. Very intense here. The moments Pragg is trying to slowly stabilize his position. He started off on the wrong foot here, but mainly he's taking a lot of time. Knight takes d4 taken. Of course, taking on d4 with the pawn is not a great idea. You lose the f4 square, so he takes it with the knight, which is completely fine. And now once again, knight f8, knight e6 is a very good maneuver, but he goes bishop f6. He wants to play his knight to e5 to c4, but maybe it's a slightly slow idea. And Pragg goes rook b1. He's angling for the b5 break. Knight e5 played. And now b5 could be very powerful. He plays it. And the bishop is suddenly activated here. The knight jumps to c4 for Gukesh. But already take could be very interesting. But Pragg goes a4, keeping the tension. This game can go in any direction. Rook c8, defending the pawn on c6. And now queen to d3 played. And he goes queen e7, attacking the c5 pawn. If you go knight b3, there is a knight b2 fork on the rook and the queen. So takes, pawn takes, and he goes rook c1. But now, can Gukesh simply take the pawn? And notice, Gukesh has 9 minutes 55 seconds. Pragg has 1 minute 43 seconds. Pragg has to play carefully here. And he blunders. Knight takes c6 is because of less time on the clock and also the pressure mounting. Queen takes c6 is a brilliant move. And look at Gukesh's expression. He's like, what? How does Pragg go for this? This is not working. And he takes it. Queen takes c6 taken. And Praggnanandhaa now is losing this game because bishop d5 is met with knight e5. A very important move. Gukesh finds it instantly. 9 minutes 30 seconds for Gukesh. 23 seconds for Praggnanandhaa. Pragg has to go back with his queen because if he took the queen, knight takes would attack the rook. Insane play, and now Gukesh brings his queen back. He has exactly one full piece extra for just one pawn. Praggnanandhaa is completely lost here. But the blunder didn't happen in vacuum, as they say. Gukesh put incessant pressure on the clock and the position. And at some point, Pragg collapsed there. f4 played. And now, knight comes back to c6 to b4. A good idea. Yes, he plays his knight to c6. And g5 played. A very interesting move now is bishop d4, because if you take, I take back the bishop, and if intermezzo with bishop c6, I take on e3 with a check. And bd4 played by Gukesh. He's making all the best moves. He has 6 minutes on the clock. Pragg resigns. What a win there for Gukesh. That one was very smooth. For a brief moment, Pragg did equalize the game and was having a fine position, but it did not last for long. This game was very well played by Gukesh, who now wins his second game in the tournament and moves on to 4 out of 5. A great win, 4 out of 6 in this tournament, and is the joint leader after day 1.